The EU should be more willing to give concessions and engage in talks with the UK after many banking firms have solidified their presence in the City of London, shattering the impression of post-Brexit Britain as a helpless island. Peter Klepp, policy analyst for the EU, Brexit and Eurozone, said Europeans would realise the UK is not the desperately dependent and helpless island they thought it was. Writing in The Spectator, the non-resident fellow of the Property Rights Alliance said, "Now that Europeans are finally coming around to the idea that Brexit won't be the complete disaster many of them originally predicted and that post-Brexit Britain won't be the desperately dependent and helpless island they envisioned, they should be more willing to engage in the talks." In further news, UK chief negotiator David Frost said Britain's assessment is that a Brexit agreement can be reached with the European Union in September ahead of the round of negotiations with his EU counterpart Michel Barnier next week. Mr. Frost added, "As we keep saying, we are not looking for a special or unique agreement. We want to deal with, at its core, an FTA like those the EU has agreed with other friendly countries, like Canada. The UK's sovereignty, over our laws, our courts, or our fishing waters, is of course not up for discussion, and we will not accept anything which compromises it, just as we aren't looking for anything which threatens the integrity of the EU's single market." 50 British officials will travel to Belgium on Tuesday in an attempt to close gaps such as European boats' access to UK fishing waters after Brexit. An EU source close to the negotiations said that both sides moved closer together, but we see this round as laying the foundations for future breakthroughs. Describing the negotiations, the source added, "Imagine two fencers sizing each other out or two fighters shadow boxing before the real engagement begins." Another EU source added that this round was about building confidence and seeing how we can build towards the final compromise in later rounds. Deadlocks also still remain on the level playing field guarantees, including state aid, which is seen as a tight issue in Brexit negotiations. The UK, however, has hinted that it could accept the future relationship with the EU being governed by a single treaty.